I was going through a big financial crisis and I said some bad things to my wife. I am not Oop. Oop is you, Smooth Persimmon 814. Originally posted to R2 Hot Takes. I was going through a big financial crisis and I said some bad things to my wife. Trigger warnings. Verbal abuse. Arguments. Bankruptcy, insolvency fears. Less than. And NBSP. Original post October 7, 2023. I really need some advice. I've tried talking to a friend of mine and he wasn't really helpful, and I can't talk to family about this. I'll keep it short. I own a small company. About 5 months we suffered a massive loss, and to try and make everyone happy, I ended pulling some money out of my personal account, but it wasn't enough. I was almost 2 million short. Don't ask me how. And had pulled from my savings. My wife is pregnant, which added a lot of stress to the situation. I couldn't talk to my wife about this because she is a financial consultant, and I talked to her before making my stupid decision and she advised me against. I was trying everything possible to make the extra money. It just made me really stressed. My wife kept trying to comfort me, but as she shops a lot, it just didn't make me feel any better. 2 months ago she came to talk to me saying how I've been so distant and we hadn't even had sex in a long time. I blew up on her and yelled and called her some mean things, but I finally told her about my situation. I was just so angry. Imagine we might be losing the house and she's worried about sex. She sold her clothes and her exotic plants and trees. She had sewn clothes for people and sold her engagement rings. She has 2 because the first one I bought, we lost it, then I got her a new one, but we found the old one like 2 years later. Long story short, she gave me the money and I'm back on a comfortable position financially. I have apologized to her several times. I offered to help her restart her garden, but she's not interested. I took her to the same place we got her previous engagement ring and she didn't care for any of it. I've suggested we speak to a therapist, but she insists we're fine. She won't buy anything nor let me. I really need some help. I know she's upset with me, but how can I get her to talk to me about it? I've looked on Google and have tried everything suggested. I talked about my feelings in hopes to get her to open up. I've taken her places. I've made us dinner. I've suggested baths together. I bought a plant for us to take care of and more. Nothing seems to be working. She doesn't even sleep in our room anymore. She has started to sleep in the nursery and has a mattress in there, and when I confronted her, she said the low mattress is easier for her. I put our bed on the floor too, but she refuses. Yesterday I brought it up again. She said she wants to get comfortable there because she will be sleeping with the baby. I knew she wanted to share bed with the baby, which is why we got an Alaskan king bed since I move a lot. We were both supposed to sleep with baby. Edit. Let me address some of the inobvious things you guys don't have to in the comments. I know this is an awful situation and that I'm an idiot for hiding something from her and not listening to her advice. I know she is hurt by my actions. I know she sold previous things to help me. I know she's smarter than me. And I know I'm wrong in this situation. I just need some ideas on how to move forward. And NBSP. Update the 1st of October 11, 2023. Hi, so before the update I want to explain a few things. The money I used is not the family money or from a joint account. My wife handles all of the family finances. She has stressed how important it is for us to never touch any of our money for my business. She believes if we allow it once, then it will become a habit, and she wants to separate my business from our family. We have different accounts for everything else, but most importantly, we each get our own personal account where in the event of a divorce the other can't touch. That's what I used. My own money. Also, my wife doesn't work. She used to work full-time, but when we got married, She didn't want to continue. Instead, now she works whenever she feels like, and the money she makes goes to her saving account and mostly into our children's accounts. We plan on having 2 kids. Or sometimes she will buy me something. I'm the sole moneymaker of the house, so the money I make goes into every account. We do have the house and some major things in her name. I was being a bit hysterical about losing the house, as she would never allow me to touch any of our personal finances, which is also something she didn't want when she sold her things instead of taking from the accounts. I want to clarify, I never asked her to do any of it. But after talking to her, she did say that she felt like I was blaming her, and that's why she felt she obligated to do something about it, which I sincerely apologized for. Had I known she would plan to sell her things, I would have never allowed it. But I didn't know, and she surprised me with money. I know many people wanted me to sell my things, but I don't really own anything. I buy regular clothes. As a hobby, I play video games and skin-used basketballs. I haven't really acquired much of anything that has the same value as everything my wife has. I bought the house of our cars, but all of which constitute as our. As for the rings, they are more so for me. She doesn't care for them. Before we got married, she told me instead of wasting money on a ring that I should get her dream house instead, and she implied this to the wedding as well. The rest of her jewelry she just collects for money. The bad things I said. I have never called my wife out her name. Nor will I ever. She does, however, hate being yelled at and cursed at. I'm someone who regularly curses, but I don't with her. And I guess out of anger I did forget. I yelled at her and asking her how could she be thinking about sex at that time. She asked me what I meant. I explained to her while yelling that we could lose the house. She got angry with me and asked me what I was talking about, and I apologized for yelling at her and cursing. Then I told her what happened. She was extremely quiet and looked through all of my work as I kept apologizing, and then left. I followed her and she asked me to leave her alone. That's how that conversation went. I kept apologizing and letting her know I should have listened to her, but she wouldn't talk to me. I would text and call her a lot and she wasn't responding, which once again I well deserved. I always listen to my wife on her financial advice. This is the first time I've ever gone against it. Basically 2 years ago, I hired a new advisor who revised the company plan an advisor she hired at the time had made. He advised a different plan which require me to make some changes to the original plan. My wife approved of all of the changes except one, and she was very adamant about it, but the new advisor strongly urged me to make the change, and at the time, I thought since my wife only specialized in finances, and the new advisor was also fluent in business management, and this was a business decision, I did take their advice over my wife. I completely forgot about it, and well over a year later my wife proved to be right. Small note. When I was talking about the sex and the shopping, I was saying my thought process at the time. It's not my current belief. I don't even know why I thought that. Update. I decided to give her some space and stop trying to talk to her or love bombing her. I followed the letter advice and was able to find a Japanese tree that she really loved, and I gave that to her. I explained all of my thought process and apologized for undermining her and lying to her, and I told her that I will be going through therapy to make sure I never blow up on her again and more. She still didn't talk to me for 2 days, then texted me at work. I'll post a picture of that conversation. But long story short, I have repaint the entire house. Deroot her entire garden bed. Almost 2 acres. Get her a Shenzhen Nongqi orchid along with an Agar wood tree and African blackwood. I will be eating mabumu and okra with her for the rest of the pregnancy. I have to remove profanity from my vocabulary entirely. Before, she was fine with me cursing as long as it wasn't around her and especially towards her. In 13 years I've done really great at that. And more. But I have to continue going to therapy until my therapist tells her I've improved. until I replace her trees and plants. Which will take some time since a lot of them I won in auctions or collected on business trips to countries I don't even remember anymore. We aren't sleeping in the same room, but we've switched where she has moved back into the bedroom, but I have to sleep in the nursery. She also said that if I ever undermined her without clearly talking to her and explaining my reasoning and giving her a chance to rebut if she can, then she will no longer help with me with anything regarding my business. Also, to clarify, my wife has no ownership of the company right now, nor did she want to work for me, but in our prenup, if we divorce then she gets 40%, since she has helped a lot. I run a lot through her. She is someone who is really good with words. She can find hidden things in contracts and also place them, so I always have her read contracts before I sign them and things like that. She is also incredibly smart and meticulous. She can find errors in things even after it was ran through 10 different people. She is flawless. I just had a really dumb moment. I'm very grateful for all of the advice a lot of you gave. Thank you. And NBSP. Editor's note. Oop has posted a new update after his first one, but this time, screenshots of text messages between Oop and his wife. And NBSP. Update the 2nd of October 11, 2023. Same day, few minutes later. Transcribed messages. Wife. When do you finish work? Oop. I should be done here at 6, but I can come home sooner. Do you need something? Is everything okay? Wife. No, you're fine. Oop. I'll come home in an hour. Wife. No, you're fine. I'm eating the honeydew you left this morning. I'm just wanting something else bit for later when you come home. Oop. What do you want to eat? Wife. I want spicy butter chicken and naan and mango lassi and samosas bit. I also want pondu, tofu and beef kebab, and Wendy's spicy chicken sandwich, fries and mango lemonade. Oop. You sure you don't want me to come now? You're hungry. Wife. Tikka guy. Oop. Yes ma'am. Wife. Ne m'énerve pas. Oop. Of course. I'll be home at 5. Wife. Okay, I love you. Don't die before bringing my food. Oop. Weary, love you too. I'll see you in about 3 hours. And NBSP. Relevant comments. Op. This is a conversation between me and wife after I really upset her and she hadn't spoken to me for some time. I wrote her an apology letter and this was the first time she spoke to me. And NBSP. Reminder, this is a repost sub. I am not Oop. He is obsessed with her feelings, but the problem is his reliability. And that list of tasks is not groveling so much as proving he will stick with that, he said. That lady has excellent taste in food. I want to see her plants. I am poorer than the people who clean their house. Significantly. I can tell you right now that while the cursing and cruelty makes up the main hurt, at least he's working on that. The fact that he has always come to her for advice and then went against it, and that stupid decision was the cause of his behavior. That exacerbated things. Because my partner relies on me for researching and so on a lot, and yet sometimes he will simply ignore me as if I don't know what I'm talking about, even though it's one of my topics. And that hurts. I'm of course projecting, but I still would bet money on the fact that her thought process went along the lines of, you treated me like shit because of something where you did not listen to me even though it's my field. I gave up things because of that. Along with a hefty dose of, if you can't trust me with issues and instead let them fester and then blow up at me even though I couldn't possibly have known. How are you going to raise a kid? What if something like this happens again? Quote, good that he's going to therapy. He's gonna need it. As a hobby I skin used basketballs. What? I don't care about this man's financial or marital problems anymore. I just need to know more about skinning basketballs. Ah, the standard, I won't stress out my pregnant partner by telling them my real problem. So instead I'll go and blow up at them over something they don't realize is a problem and make it all their fault. Impulsive action. For the people fixating on the 2 million bit, the mentions of madumu, Congolese tripe soup, and pondu, Congolese cassava soup, plus the casual French in the messages make it likely that the op is referring to Congolese currency, not USD. Depending on which Congo they're referring to, it's either around 3,000 United States dollars if West African franc, CAF, used in Rep of Congo, or about $800 if Dem Rep of Congo franc, CDF. GDP per capita in both Congos is around 500 United States dollars. So these are still very large amounts. Years of salary, locally, but a different ballpark from 2 million United States dollars. I find this hard to believe. The orchid he mentions is the most expensive flower in the world. It supposedly costs hundreds of thousands of dollars. The 2 tree species provide pretty rare wood. One of them is considered endangered. Maybe they just have that kind of money to spend, and if so, then goddamn. Dude got to be well off enough for his wife to have 2 acres of flower bed to plant her stuff. Rich people are weird. So I'm still betting that the OOP lost all of that money on crypto. That is the only way I can see OOP losing that much money all while he had forgotten about it. Either that or he is just really bad at running a company. To me, the problem was not just that he ignored his wife's advice, but also that the decision he made was just really stupid. If someone I loved transcribed my messages on Reddit, that would be an unforgivable breach of privacy, even if it was benign. So I yelled at her, "How can you be thinking of sex when I have been distant for so long? I am too worried about losing the house, of which you have no idea because I hid all of my financial tomfoolery from you and did not follow your financial counsel." Quote, "This guy should not be anywhere near a business. He's still making not so subtle comments blaming his wife. She hired the accountant, blah blah. He earns all the money. It's his house and his business. He sounds insufferable and he does not leave her alone when she has asked for space. He is a dumpster fire. Don't die before bringing my food. Can confirm this is a common sentiment between me and my husband." Strangely, my only takeaway from this is that he skins used basketballs for a hobby. Can someone shed some light on this for me? I'm leaning towards some kind of skin suit, just without the serial killer component. So she doesn't know what's going on because Op didn't discuss it with her, and when she talks to him about concerns she has regarding other issues, he yells at her for having her priorities skewed. Is that right? He expects his wife to be psychic and know that he's stressed and why, and not add more stress to the situation? She's definitely checked out of the relationship. I'll be very surprised if they end staying together. And by together, I mean an actual couple that loves one another, not just 2 individuals who are married. Sue, wife doesn't work, but sold her engagement rings, plants and clothes that she had sewn and raised the 2M shortfall. And she just happens to have an orchid so rare that there are only a handful in the world, an endangered species of trees. Op is incredibly vague about his business, for privacy, but since the orchid is so rare, the names of the owners would be very well known in rare orchid circles. Lastly, the 2 trees he names have such radically different soil and growing needs that they could not survive on the same 2 acres he claims to own. communicating in 3 different languages and missing each other's meaning.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Haircast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.